Scientists have recently claimed to have found evidence of alien genetic manipulation with human DNA, which points to alien modification and alteration of the human species. And if this is confirmed, this discovery could completely rewrite our understanding of human evolution and our species. We have the founder of DNA Resonance Research Foundation, a scientist specializing in genetics, and a molecular biologist who led this study, Dr. Max Rempel.
I worked for 25 years on the bench. My publications place me in about 90th percentile. I just want to highlight that I have qualifications. Why don't we analyze the father and the mother and the child, analyze the genetics and see if there is anything unusual there. It looked very, very strange. It looked like alien manipulation.
How rare would that be for DNA to be altered that much if it was not done from an outside source? Like, is that even possible?
I expect that about 2 to 10% of population are hybrids. For me, it was ontological shock. How do you combine the idea of human evolution with alien visitation? We assume that the aliens just keep modifying us to bring in telepathy and psychic abilities. Humanity is giving a birth to a new species.
I think there's so much misinformation out there that we don't know what to trust.
As soon as you bring aliens, I think 99.9% of the journals, they know not to take that on. This breaks the system. That breaks the matrix. It is a flip. Everybody is capable of telepathy, but culture inhibits it. Autistic, non-speaking kids are actually telepaths. So they already know the secrets. So the secret is
Can you start off by explaining to us what the study is and what it points to?
Right. So, abduction experiences were reported in books. The most famous is John Mack. He interviewed over 100 of people and published a book. I read the book. And the typical abduction scenario is that father and mother, either together or separately, are taken to the ship, and their reproductive cells are extracted, sperm and eggs, and then they are artificially fertilized and then grown into a small embryo. Then mother is taken again, and the mother is impregnated with the embryo. And then either that embryo is born here and becomes a hybrid on the planet, so local hybrid, or the embryo grows up there in a space station and becomes an extraterrestrial hybrid and grows like that. The extraterrestrial hybrids can be from different people. And the local hybrids, so far I've heard only about the experiences of hybrids born to their own families, so the parents, actual parents. And the idea is that the extraterrestrials, aliens, insert or replace some of the DNA to upgrade and produce the hybrids. So jumping back forward to the idea, so over a year ago in the summer, Ross Coulthard announced on YouTube that they have funding to find the evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. And when a scientist hears the word funding, the brain becomes working like really well. And that was sent to me by a friend from Australia, Swami Manamurti, David Little, and he introduced me to Ross Coulthard by email. So there was a direct connection there. So I wrote the whole proposal. The proposal is published on the site xg1.org. You can post it here. And there was lots of ideas, but one of the most beautiful and simplest, cheapest ideas is that why don't we analyze the father and the mother and the child, analyze the genetics and see if there is anything unusual there. In classical genetics, in classical biology, the children are always carry 50-50, like one of the homologous chromosomes is from father, one from the mother. There is always a pair, there is very close matching. And we never expected to have anything else. There could be some random mutations sometimes, maybe some chromosomal rearrangements, but nothing comes from outside. There is no new sequences. So the idea was, why don't we genotype? And I looked online, and I found there is only one data set, open source. You can download without any permissions, just download it. It's called 1000 Genomes Project. You can Google it. It has lots of families, but I took only the families that properly have a proper inheritance, where the child is always a child of the claimed parents. So that was, I think, 581 families. And I looked there, and I discovered that 2% of the families, 11 families, had very unusual substitutions, where the mother and father have one set of sequences, and the child has nothing like the mother and the father. And what was most unusual was that it was done on both chromosomes in parallel, on both homologous chromosomes. That's not described in literature, something unusual. So immediately I wrote up the report, uploaded to standard scientific self-publishing places, which is ResearchGate and Vixra. And that's where it was found later by others. And since then, and there I claim that doesn't look like a technical error. It looks like something very unusual for biology, something very unusual for technical errors. Since then, I looked more closely. I was digging, seeing if there is anything suspicious about that data set. And I found that, yes, possibly it could be a technical error. So we need more results to analyze. We need more data sets. There is about 100 more data sets which are much newer, much cleaner. This 1000 genomes was very old. The samples were collected in the 80s, and they were analyzed maybe 20 years ago. So the technology moved way better, way farther to modern times. So now it's so much cheaper and easier to do it. So there is about 100 more data sets with lots of families. But for that, you have to be affiliated with academic institution, and you have to apply and justify and wait for the permission for weeks and months. So I hope to do that. I'm looking for academic collaborators who would be affiliated with academic institution. So it doesn't have to be about the aliens, because even the fact of non-parental insertions is a discovery. So
how rare would that be for DNA to be altered that much if it was not done from an outside source? Is that even possible?
For the ones who are born maybe 1 to 5% have some rearrangements. So that's not unusual. Not unusual is to get something which doesn't come from parents, some unusual variants which clearly not come from parents. In the data set, there were very big substitutions. It's 16 kilobases with 300 markers. It looked very, very strange. It looked like alien manipulation. I still don't know, is it alien or is it a technical artifact?
And what it made you think alien invention?
Yeah, what's a technical artifact?
Yeah, so I looked at the quality of data. It wasn't great. So they did something computational to the data to fix it. It's reported, and they don't give the full report on computational improvement. So you assemble the genome from small pieces of 150 letters pieces of DNA. So I looked at the quality. I wasn't impressed. Nowadays the quality is 100% there. It was maybe lots of errors, 10% of errors or something. And the second thing, they culture the cells, and when they culture, who knows what happens there. So they take the blood, they take the cells from the blood, white cells, culture in a flask, and then they extract DNA. So they amplify it before sequencing. So that is another big question mark for scientists. So what makes it thinking that it's alien? Nothing other than I expect that about 2 to 10% of population are hybrids, recent hybrids. So the humanity is ancient hybrids for thousands of years. The aliens continuously upgraded us and modified us and seeded new races. But the modern hybridization program became strong in the 50s and 60s, and I think it continues until today. And we assume that the aliens just keep modifying us to bring in telepathy and psychic abilities. And if they do, then I expect that they would do some insertions and substitutions, right?
Is there anything in particular that you've read or studied that has made you believe that this has been happening for the past, 60, 70 years?
My scientific career, mainstream career, I worked for 25 years, on the bench in mainstream science. And my publications are placed me in about 90th percentile, meaning I am 10% of the scientists have publications better than I do, the publication record. So I'm referenced due to my mainstream publications in genetics, which is schizophrenia research, cancer research, and longevity research, and gene regulation. And my PhD thesis was DNA sequencing and extraction, and my master's thesis was DNA synthesis. So my PhD was 94 and master's was 86. I'm just want to highlight that I have qualifications, and I did lots of computational work too, computational genomics. So in parallel, I was always interested in mystical stuff, paranormal energies, and healing. So 1999, I am already coming back from America to my home institute, and there is a nice lady. We said hi, we never discussed anything with her, but we smiled to each other. And she gave me a book which was called The Wave Genome, which is about holographic nature of DNA, about vibrational genomics, quantum genetics, by Peter Garyaev. And that's my main focus of study, which is DNA resonance and quantum genetics. 2009, I was already in Reiki. Reiki was huge. Reiki is like healing with hands.
We're Reiki practitioners, yeah.
We've studied Reiki.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, chakra.
Sending energy. All right. So 2009, I read a book which just came out. It was called The Field by Lynn McTaggart. Lynn McTaggart, The Field.
Love Lynn McTaggart. Yeah, that book changed my life, and The Intention Experiment. Yeah, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Lynn McTaggart and The Field and The Intention Experiment.
So on my birthday, February 8th, I closed the book. And it shows that the whole physical material reality is a collective dream, and everything is a field. And somehow from the idea of the field to the idea of the aliens was a huge jump. And I say, let's check out the aliens. Until then, I was super interested in science fiction, but based on science fiction, I was always thinking that the aliens should be anything like human, anything not like human. Nothing like human. It should be clouds, planets, cockroaches, but nothing humanoid. So I was not taking seriously anything that looked human-like. Nothing like on your cups, and no grays. And then I said, check out the aliens, and I kind of dived there, and immediately I was in. I watched lots of, and I recognized the faces, like the gray faces. The photographs were already there. I recognized them. And
when you say you recognize, you mean like I've seen that before?
I've seen that before.
And when you say that, is it a feeling that I've seen it before? Or is it like, no, you were called an abduction where you had...
Somehow I'm blocked on giving any spectacular personal accounts. There is nothing which I can bluff about. I had personal experience, I had vibration and stuff, but there is so many people who had like much brighter personal
I like the honesty of, hey, I actually don't really recall, but I'm telling you, like, I recognized it when I saw it. It was familiar, and I knew I had encountered them. I can't explain how or why, just the way I felt. Like that's very valid.
I should do hypnotic regression. I just don't have time. I think it's not the main. I have a communication with my upper advisors, higher advisors, and I clearly, I'm now 62, I clearly see that it's not my path to talk about my own experiences. I'm about synthesis of everything.
And I'm sure that's why you don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, they don't want me to get distracted. They don't want me to be famous, like talking about, I talk about everything openly on podcasts and stuff, so they don't want me to become distracted by telling about my own experiences.
Right.
They were limited.
Well, Dr. Max, take us back to, so you see the grays for the first time, and you say, that's familiar.
I started looking at the grays on YouTube and all this, actually, conspiracy theories about the aliens. So it was very dark. For half a year, I was sick, was physically sick from conspiracy theories.
Yeah, dude.
And diving in that.
It's dark.
Finally, I recovered, but it was a painful awakening. So I dived in that and immediately searched for ufology, Rochester, upstate New York, where I was. And like next week, Wednesday, there was a ufology interest group meeting in Barnes & Noble with Richard Dahl and Cookie Stringfellow. And as usual, I was 5 minutes late, and I already came when an abductee was speaking. And it was the best abductee I ever heard. And I took many hours of interviews with her, and it's all on YouTube. But basically, when she was a child, she was asked by the aliens if she could help to save a species. And to this day, she doesn't know if it was to save our species or the Zeta species. But she gave the agreement with the condition that she would remember. She was smart enough as a child to ask, will I be able to remember that? And she gave the agreement, so she became an experienced and a contactee, like with a free will, given the agreement, with a consent. So from the start, I already knew lots about them, and I asked about the questions about the furniture on the ships and all the details and stuff. And I immediately started the experiencer support group. So I had from this group, people came together in a circle we shared. So I got lots of experiences from people who actually were taken or saw people. So, and immediately I found Bashar right away. Bashar was already speaking I think he speaks from around 85, so he was speaking for a while. And Bashar was absolutely great. And for me, it was ontological shock. How do you combine the idea of evolution and human evolution with the alien visitation? And the visitation by human-looking aliens, that didn't make a lot of sense. So the whole idea is that, there was a primate from the Earth, and then they upgraded us for a while. I was looking for channelers. Bashar was a channeler, and I listened to lots of other channelers on YouTube, and I wanted to ask my own questions. And I wrote a book, which was... By this day, it's a pretty good book. It basically addresses that question: how did we evolve, and how do we deal with evolution if there is an intervention by the alien? So back then, already based on whatever I had on YouTube, I already answered the question, which what's the agenda? The aliens want to incarnate on this planet, right? And the reason they cannot incarnate here is because the vibration is too low, spiritual vibration is too low. Later, I got the actual numeric measurement of spiritual vibration. Our spiritual vibration here is, most of the people are focused on the first three chakras. First chakra, survival. Second chakra, in one-to-one communication, family. And third chakra is social. So the social hierarchy, they don't go any further in the heart chakra and above. So they are all focused in the first three chakras, so which corresponds to very low levels of spiritual vibrations, like between 1 and 3, maybe 4 is for some of the people, for artists and priests, and basically people who are very high. But the aliens they're around 15, 17. It's way up there.
Wow.
Yeah, so there is a huge gap. So they need us, what they call it ascension. They need us to raise our vibration. And the key how all other civilizations ascend, they go from voice to telepathy. Voice to telepathy. You have to speak telepathically, then you become broadband, then deception, which is possible with voice, becomes much less. And you become also psychic. Telepathy comes with psychic abilities. Then you finally disconnect from this materialism and become one leg stands on material world and one leg is firmly stands in spiritual world. Then you become nicer and kinder and more enlightened. So they want us to upgrade. We are overdue for upgrade. The planet is ready. The genome of the humans is ready. The culture sucks. The culture is over-focused on money and profit and survival and all of that. So going back to looking for channelers. So I wrote that book, looked for channelers. And finally, I got my channel on a Reiki group. Like there is a wonderful Reiki group in Rochester, like where lots of people come together and good day like 20 people, and rainy days maybe 5, but many people and many beds in the home. And I was doing Reiki on some person, and he started channeling to me. And he said, "Hi, I'm Dizyaka Buddhist Duda, and we've been watching you. I'm a Gray, and I've been following you for a while, and it's nice to meet you." And I said, "I apply for a visit to your ship." And he said, "Yeah, but we need to take a test if you're compatible." Next morning, there is 7 spots here, perfect letter L, 3 spots here, 3 spots there. And it stayed there for half a year, reminding me that it was real.
I found I have a birthmark on my leg that says A+. I've never heard anybody else having marks in the shape of a letter before. That's so wild.
And her blood type's A+.
And my blood type is A positive, which I found out later.
Maybe it's human military secret program with
Maybe.
aliens,
Dang it.
and they just wanted to label you.
Great. Perfect.
So I got my own channeler, Jim Charles Human Colony. Search on YouTube, Jim Charles Human Colony. Super good channeler, channels lots of entities. And I basically trained him to how to channel. I'm very good in teaching channeling.
Whoa.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
So as
I have a talent, I guess. People trust me, and in my presence, people start speaking.
So as a scientist, as a molecular biologist, what do you think channeling is? Is there any evidence and proof of channeling? Why? What is the function of channeling? Why does it exist?
All right. Channeling is close to telepathy. It's just telepathy in some way, right? You connect to the extraterrestrial. But in trance channeling, you allow them to enter pretty much full way, and Bashar, he doesn't even remember what is said. Jim, he kind of watches the process, so he remembers, he kind of watches, but he steps aside. For me, channeling is hard because I want the microphone. I start editorializing everything. So I do channel, but it's harder. But at least I know the process. And the telepathy tapes by Kai Dickens. So Kai Dickens and Diane Hennessy are the heroes. They discovered telepathy. They came out over a year ago, right?
Yeah, it's been about a year.
I discovered them in November, and it was I cried every episode. And then I played it to my close people, and I cried again.
Yeah.
And the season 2, second episode, I cried again. It just, wow, it's such a relief, such a connection. And I read the book. After that, I read the book by Diane Hennessy. I wrote to them both, like, look, the non-speaking autists are likely alien hybrids. Alien hybrids, starseeds, autists is the same thing. And I heard them telepathically answer it. Oh, we have so much trouble proving telepathy. We don't need extraterrestrials here. But Diane Hennessy spoke at the contact in the desert. So there is a connection is so obvious. Autists is the new genetic hybrids, and the humanity is giving a birth to a new species.
Whoa.
That was predicted by Blavatsky in 1882 in her book, The Secret Doctrine. And the previous races were Polarians, Hyperboreans, Lemurians, Atlanteans, us, Homo sapiens, and the next race is coming.
Whoa. Dr. Rempel, I don't know how much, I know you've watched a bunch of the show, but I don't know if you know exactly the thesis of this entire program. Everything that we aim and seek to do, which is based around our story. Essentially, we both were diagnosed with ADHD. And
me too. Well, I wasn't diagnosed. I don't know to doctors, but I clearly have that. Yeah.
And we were medicated.
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
We were.
she
No,
was.
not anymore. We were both medicated.
She represents, like, a lot of people know the story, but I'll tell it anyways for you. But she represents very much like the female archetype when it comes to the modern ADHD. It's underdiagnosed. It manifests more as anxiety. She didn't go on a journey of medication until later on in life. Her doctor was like, how can you function.
He was like, "How did you even graduate high school?" I'm like, "I don't know. I went to college."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And then me, I am a little more classic. I mean, I was stuck on pharmaceutical drugs as a small boy. I spent about 10 to 15 years. The side effects were so debilitating, and terrible, led to other disorders like depression, anxiety. Kicked the drugs, traveled the world, worked to heal it. Doctors, dietitians, naturopaths, ended up in the Amazon rainforest working with tribes and plant medicine to heal it. Point being is, I do all this work to heal it, finally come to plant medicine, and the main punchline to the healing journey was essentially, this is an evolutionary mutation that is sensitizing you to energy and extrasensory perception. That what is defined as these neurodivergences are actually precursors to essentially spiritual development, extrasensory perception. And it is a mutation, an evolutionary mechanism. It is that we are unable to fit into the old societal systems that is causing the dissonance, the cognitive dissonance between these mutations.
And this is what you're saying, and also what Kai Dickens is saying with her work. But we're right in alignment, is what he's trying to say.
And we work with people who have ADD, and we'll give them stuff to help, who want to stay off pharmaceuticals, and we give them all the things. Hey, you got to meditate. Hey, you got to exercise. Hey, here's a little trick here, a little trick there. But ultimately, we always have to be like, but if you want to know the real truth, it's a gift. It's not a curse. And, lean into your artistry, develop yourself spiritually, and you will gain and you will learn how to live with it and the gift of these neurodivergences. So you're the first person of a scientific ilk that has ever sort of qualified and validated this theorem on this show.
What biologically is changed in us, in the hybrids, right? What makes people telepathic and channelers. So Diane Hennessy, the scientist behind the telepathy tapes, she wrote a book, SP Enigma, Extrasensory Perception Enigma. And there she goes very thoroughly through the brain anatomy, saying that brain anatomy is important for telepathy. So there is something developmental that is broken only for a short period of time when the speech is developing. The speech doesn't develop, so the non-speaking autists skip the speech development. This way and now I interpret that already, and I go beyond that book, that they fall out of the mainstream society, mainstream culture, because they cannot speak. And that liberates them from the repression of the culture. And that opens the telepathy. So my take is primarily everybody human is capable of telepathy, but culture inhibits it, especially through the language, and especially through the money, and especially through schedule. Timing is a killer of telepathy. Like if you're in a hurry, if you're scared, you're screwed. To develop telepathy, you have to be supported and have free time. Get out of the rush, out of the work schedule. So brain anatomy is important, and from my DNA resonance research, I think there are special mechanisms that block the telepathy and psychic abilities in us. So there is, like, if you have a kid, they are telepathic, they are psychic, they can see spirits, they can talk to the spirits. My kids talk to the spirits, used to talk to the spirit. And then school gradually, clears it out.
It destroys it. The same thing happened to me.
Right. So there is an artificial biological mechanism that blocks it in the brain, in chakras, and in DNA. So in DNA, there are protein-coding genes. It's like my favorite topic. Protein-coding genes is only 4.5%, roughly 5% of the DNA is ever coding for protein. And in every cell, it may be less than 1% coding for protein, but 95% is non-coding for protein. And 55%, over half of the genome is repetitive. So this is not studied by science that just kind of trashed as junk. It's not funded. Nobody studies that non-coding repetitive DNA. But that's what makes DNA resonate, the crystal structures, liquid crystal structure of repetitive chromosomes folded in beautiful structures, and then creating a oscillating, resonating, vibrating liquid crystal in water. So to break the telepathy, you have to break the crystal, essentially. And that introduces mutations which make the DNA less coherent, less pretty. So I assume the aliens just go and clean up the junk, and in repetitive elements, in the repetitive parts, they make them more pretty, more uniform, more standard. And my favorite repetitive element is called ALU, A-L-U, and it comprises 11% of our genome. It has over 1 million copies in the genome. And if you take a human, extract DNA, it would be, computationally, it would be 250 grams of dry DNA. And because if you dry it, it's fluffy. It's like a big pot of DNA, 250 grams. So out of this 250 grams, about 25 grams is this ALU sequence. So to me, it is the main sequence which makes us human and makes us telepathic and psychic. And so to make us psychic, you need to clean it up, remove the mistakes in that sequence, and that probably will fix, and that's probably what aliens do. So we want to take the abductees, trios, mother, father, child, find the changes relative to the parents, and I specifically want to look in this ALU repeats. These are just 300-letter repeats, repeated 1 million times in different parts of the genome, and see if the errors are fixed.
All right, mom and dad, let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll get my mom and dad.
The prices are great. So if you do just cheapest genotype, and it's $50 a kit on Amazon, My Heritage kit on Amazon. It's like 23andMe, just cheaper. And I like My Heritage is slightly better. It's more convenient for me to download sequences. In 23andMe, it's everyone has to submit their own sequences. And in My Heritage, I can just have you submit, and then I download for many families. So you order the kit on Amazon. The kit comes. It's a tube with ethanol and detergent and a brush. You brush your cheek from inside, wash in the tube, close the cup, and mail it back to My Heritage. So I don't have to be involved. And then you take a picture of the code so I can register you. And when it's ready, maybe a month later, I download and see the mutations. So My Heritage analyzes a little bit under 1 million variants, but these are human variants, not alien. And 750 variants, 750,000 variants. And we look at unusual, it's called non-Mendelian and non-classical inheritance where something is messed up. And that is possibly a trace of alien manipulation. So in these 3 families which donated the DNA, so we have 3 families of abductees. Everyone is adult. Everyone signed informed consent that they participate in alien abduction research genetic study. And in 3 families, we found lots, like 30, 40 unusual variants not coming from the parents. And what's most exciting, they're clustered in the best cluster is 9 variants clustered in one place of the chromosome, meaning these are not likely to be technical artifacts. But again, it's just once genotyped, could be technical artifact, but not likely. So we need to regenotype them again and see if maybe there is something, if it reproduces 2 times, it would more likely. So that's the cheapest analysis. And now, once my information came out, Daily Mail picked it up on sometime in October.
It was like the 6th or 7th.
Yeah, 6th, yeah. So then I got letters from abductees. Now I have 17 letters, emails, people contact me, so that's great.
If any of our audience wants to help in any way, shape, or form, they can also be a part of this?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Write to us, give us your stories. We'll pick up the best story because experience of abduction makes it much more interesting. We want abductees with memories. Don't make it up, though.
And even without plant medicine, the abduction stories, people a lot of times will speak about it seeming like it's their astral body, like it's another it might not be their physical body here, but they're like taken somewhere else to be worked on a different level.
And because that's the experience that it's interdimensional. And I always, when I'm going through the we call them attunements, I mean, you do work with Reiki, and it's comparable in the sense that you're getting assimilated to their vibration.
As we are in that energy, I invite them to heal me as well, because I need that help. I take on myself so much that it hurts. So
what hurts? What do you mean you take on?
Yeah, what's going on?
I mean, the subjects are heavy.
Yeah.
DNA resonance, being alone in the planet, working on DNA resonance science, it's just crazy. It's hard. You push against the resistance of the matrix.
Well, brother, you're not
trying
alone.
to evolve the matrix by yourself.
You're not alone. You're not by yourself.
I have help, but tell me who else is working on DNA resonance.
We can connect you with some people that we know that are working alongside of this.
Yeah.
That just in case, like maybe they know
helpers.
people and stuff. Okay, great.
But that's called Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell.
Yes.
You get help to get to the final point, but then you have to open the door and go yourself. So I'm at that stage, I guess.
You're at the we have a doctorate in Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're at the door. Are you in the Cave of Fears?
I don't know the name of that, but I'm the place where somehow helpers, they still help, but now I have to do a step myself.
Okay, so does that mean, like the mentor has recently died and you're being reborn you faced your fears and now you're coming out the other side? Is that what you're saying?
Something of that.
Right, so this is a big validation for you, this recent study, right? This is years of work in resonance, DNA resonance, and this is a big breakthrough, right?
A substantial, yeah.
Yeah, it's substantial.
The goal is to decipher the non-coding part of the human genome, the vibrational code of the human genome. So once we have the formula, we should be able to read the genome and tell this is psychic abilities, this is what makes this shape of the human. Right now, the science is pretty much is not there at all. If you give a scientist a mouse or an elephant or a human, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference if they don't cheat, they don't look up online. There is no formula, there is no algorithm how to read the genome. So the shape of the body, the personal properties, the character properties, nothing is understood yet. We are that far behind.
So Max, you're talking about how you are trying to get a lot of people in to be able to do more of these studies. So how are you going to organize this? Like, what are you looking for?
All right. So I got a lot of support already. I was contacted by Natalie Hill, United Experiencer Initiative, and she usually goes to contact in the desert. She knows everyone, and everybody knows her. So she's right into that topic. She wants to be part of that, and she's helping to organize recruitment of subjects. And we are raising money, so raising funding. So the initial step is pretty much everybody pays for their own sequence, and you guys order the kits. You send me the pictures of the code numbers, and I register, I download, and I tell you. And then if there is something interesting that we discover on using the kits, my heritage kits, then we publish. You said peer-reviewed publication. I think it's. We are not there yet. I don't think there is a journal which would take a peer-reviewed publication on that. Maybe, possibly, if you kind of sterilize it, remove the word alien, say abnormal inheritance, that is publishable. But as soon as you bring aliens, I think 99.9% of the journals, I mean, there is a ranking of journals, but anything which is respectable, which is indexed in major databases, they know not to take that on unless absolutely, unless it is submitted by like Stanford or Harvard, something like that.
People, if they want detractors of this, they're going to say it's not a peer-reviewed study. But what you're saying is that this subject matter is so taboo that it is kind of impossible to get it peer-reviewed.
It changes with time. Maybe by the time like half a year from now, maybe things will change. It's like the Congress opens up, so maybe we should try. Of course, I should try. Right now, I don't have anything to publish. The results are too preliminary. 3 families and questionable 1 data set is not enough. So I'm not ready yet. Once we get more, that would be interesting. But I think self-publishing is plenty. And there are alternative journals which are not indexed anywhere, so we can be peer-reviewed by alternative journals, which is like there are journals which publish paranormal research stuff. That may be the path. Or maybe a documentary movie. We show interview with abductees, experiencers, and hypnotic regression, and their genotypes, a picture, what do we get? I think that's a beautiful trio.
Wow, that's cool. Cool. We'd be down to do that with you. That's cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
That sounds good.
Like, look, Diane Hennessy, she was talking about that and writing and publishing for many, many years. Her book was 2017. Kai Dickens found her maybe around 2015. It took them 10 years to raise the money for the movie, documentary. And Kai Dickens made the miracle. So you need to have somebody of the caliber of Kai Dickens. She invested basically her own money into that first to make a podcast. And now they found the money, and now they say already did a double-blind experiment where the sender and the receiver telepathic are in different rooms. The messages are produced by a computer, and it's all recorded. So that's a clean experiment. So we need something like that. We need Kai Dickens or a similar to Kai Dickens person who would pick it up.
Yeah, it's really sad. She gets so much hate. Like people just, for the amount of work her and Diane, is that her name?
Diane Hennessy.
Diane Hennessy. The work that they've done, it's really heartbreaking to hear people just like saying terrible things about them and trying to discredit them and all this stuff. And it's like, why wouldn't you allow this to be explored?
Yeah.
This breaks the system. That breaks the matrix. Yeah. It is a flip. It's a huge flip of the whole system. It's a paradigm shift.
Do you believe what's happening right now with like the research that you're doing and people that are having these sort of upgrades? Do you think that means that open contact is going to be happening in like our lifetimes?
Bashar says 2 to 5 years. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
He's saying 2027 now.
Yeah, 2 to 5, yeah.
Once you collect more data, and whether it's peer-reviewed or not, but let's say you get to the point where you could prove this. That'd be a monument. You already are proving it, but this is accepted as consensus, the scientific consensus. That would be a massive, massive moment for shifting the consciousness towards disclosure and, direct contact. So what happens after we have disclosure? What happens after we have mass contact?
Thank you. So my channeler, Jim Charles, for 10 years, every week or twice a week, we were talking and I answered questions. It was a huge help. And also I created a community. We created a community together. We were the first ones to go live. So everybody could come and channel, or everybody could come and ask questions to channelers. So we gave birth to lots of channelers. And so I had a great opportunity to ask the same scientific questions to many channelers and compare the answers. So that was a great research tool. And in channeling, as you know, and as in telepathy, it's a need-to-know basis. Basically, if you have a spiritual need and if it's good for you, you get the answer. If it's not good for you or you don't have enough justification, then you get just white noise, something non-informative. So you have to change yourself to really need that answer. So when I am asking questions, when I really need them, when my science is needed, and when I have a justification, why do I need it? I actually want to help ascension through DNA resonance research and through understanding the evolution of humanity. Then the answers come better. So it takes two to channel. Not only the channeler, but also the questioner has to be ready and do their work. So it's all 95% of that is on YouTube. It's all published, hundreds of hours. And the community is alive. It's called Human Colony. When we first started channeling, 2013 summer, I spoke to the guys and I understood how badly they understand us. Like it was like very little understanding. I thought, if these people are trying to help us, it's a disaster. So I wrote a book for them. It's called Welcome to Earth, A Guide for Aliens. And I was told that it is a required reading for every alien who is working on our project. Because it's like the only book on the planet written by a human born here for them. And
Too funny.
it's like, so I tried to explain how the whole world is built on deception. I wrote about how can they help, actually. And that is based on my Russian experience. In Russia, we went through that experience of opening up, which is very similar to what would happen to the planet when it opens up.
When was this?
1986, it started crashing, and it collapsed by 1992.
You think that's going to happen on a global level?
And that's the point I wanted to make. So if the secrets, it's called catastrophic disclosure, which you already discussed. If the secrets come out, and all the secrets come out, then the world which is built on secrecy stops working. The economy breaks. It's pretty much given. The whole economy is built on secrecy. So I wrote that book, and what I proposed was that they consult with us, they take us up there, and we together develop a plan, and then we sort of start transforming the society through messages and through disclosures. And what happened in Russia was that we had a few radio stations which were funded by the Congress, the Radio Liberty, Radio Svoboda, Radio America, Radio Germany, BBC. So they broadcasted in Russian to Russia. And that was the truth which came through like complete lies. And that truth allowed the society to actually awaken. That was awakening. When you hear the truth and you hear the lies, the truth kind of wins because it's so obvious. So that kind of information right now comes from channelers, but I think it should start coming from YouTube and other broadcasts. So essentially, the truth should be coming.
The truth is here, baby. If anyone's listening to this,
exactly,
this is that.
If you ever manage a company or ran a club or was a manager, you would realize that humans are screwed. The humans are unmanageable. There is no, even if you remove all the conspiracy, if you remove all alien interventions, all secret rulers, there is something wicked about humans that make them fight and compete. Bashar describes that lots of other civilization, they are sent by getting the telepathy and switching from low vibration to high vibration. They raise in density. It's dimensional density shift. So we now already have autists. We have autists connected in a telepathic network. Autists are hybrid, that's my claim. The hybrids, autists, they're connected on the telepathic network.
You mean autists or people with autism?
Autist.
Yeah.
Autists, people with autism, non-speaking autists, telepathic, they are meeting at the hill. Mm-hmm. So that hill, and my estimate is there are tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of them. So the percentage grows. And also autists are teaching normal people, which are called neurotypical people, they're teaching telepathy. So the teachers are now taking questions telepathically and answering in a voice, or sometimes they lead classes in silence. So that is already happening. That revolution already started by Kai Dickens. There is a community growing. People are awakening to the fact that their autistic, non-speaking kids are actually telepaths. So they already know the secrets. It's only us speaking people who don't know the secrets. But there is that layer already dolphins and telepathic autists, they are already carry the higher vibration. So that is happening. So the secret is secret rulers. And the question is, what will happen if these secret rulers just go away and we are free?
Who are the secret rulers?
What's called military industrial complex, military intelligence complex.
Right, facts.
So we have hybrids on the planet born here. We have some of them are non-speaking telepathic autists, and also we have hybrids born out there and implanted here. So they carry the alien culture. What gives me hope is the spiritual perspective. I understand that it's all a collective dream, and we have multiple timelines. And depending on our own personal frequency, we shift timelines. And the fact that we met here in this timeline is our frequency somehow matched. And our listeners, we are in the same timeline. But if you stay, in spite of all the dangers, if you stay positive, you can float up into a high vibrational timeline. So it's not fixed. And my discovery, which I haven't heard much in elsewhere, is spiritual discovery, is that it's all maximized for drama. Because the souls come here for entertainment, it's a game, and they learn here, and whoever writes the plot, they maximize drama. They give us only so much drama per day as we can handle, and next morning we get another drama. And if there is a day where there's no drama, you should wait, something coming day after that.
Yeah.
Like when I feel like things are too good, something is coming, and it's like, and it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. So drama is always there, and obviously the AI disasters are coming for sure. And I think the humanity, that's a huge choice. Essentially, we are heading the path of the grays to mutate ourselves, genetically engineering into a cyborg, a mixture between the technology and biology, and to genetically engineer us to have synthetic telepathy, to combine us in one hive mind controlled by artificial intelligence. So that's the plan. It's very clear. You can see it pushed from above very clearly. There is lots of support in science. So we are heading towards the future of becoming grays. And the grays, everyone knows, they're not exactly from the future, and they're from parallel future. They genetically engineered themselves too much. They removed military properties, fighting properties, removed anger, so they're very mellow. But they went too far, so they lost the ability, Bashar's story, they lost the ability to reproduce naturally. They mutated themselves to become artificial clones. And then finally, that's my interpretation, collective biofield collapsed. So they all carry that mentality of tragedy and urgency. They are urgently reproducing themselves by hybridizing with us and everybody else. And they conquer the planets by sneaking in secretly through transdimensional technologies. They essentially implant their genes into the planet, create their own hybrids, and what we are gray hybrids, partly controlled by the grays. And then they are taken over, and again, trying to reproduce the same mistake they did for their civilization.
So you think that the ETs that are adjusting to us are grays?
Oh,
or adjusting
there
our
are
DNA?
layers and layers. There
Okay.
are hundreds of species.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Greys, the Zetas, they are outlaws. They have diplomatic relationships with the major galactic federation, but they violate the laws and they sneak out. They basically nobody is permitted to do things, but they kind of put themselves. The Greys, the alliance between the Greys and Nordics and maybe some of the reptilians. They got the agreement between American government and other English-speaking governments. So, like in the 50s, they got that permission, and then they used that permission. And actually, there is a many times during the abductions, military are present. So it's a collaboration between the Greys and the military.
I've heard that before. You have that in your findings that during abductions, people are seeing military personnel?
That was my first abductee who I interviewed extensively. She said, I saw military many times. Sometimes it was on human basis. Sometimes it was, and she said,
Ew, I've heard that. That's so fucked.
I had Nordics and reptilians, and she said, I hate Nordics. Nordics are so wicked. I better would be dealt with by reptilian than a Nordic.
Really?
Nordics, yeah, reptilians are much kinder and nicer than the Nordics. Nordics are just bad. I mean, there are different Nordics. There are Nordics from Pleiades. I love them, but there are Nordics from Orion. So there is lots of different. The species doesn't define the political alliance.
Yes, just like us.
So there is an alliance which collaborates with the secret rulers, humans. And at the moment, I believe that humans are in charge. When I say secret rulers, they have aliens among them, but I think that's the humans which are running the planet. The final thing, how do we develop a new species? Bashar calls it Homo galacticus. I think the new species is not the aliens, not the hybrids yet, not the autists yet. I think it's coming. And it's coming after the open contact. And after the open contact, local hybrids who are born up there, the actual implants will maybe show up. Maybe the aliens will show up. Imagine how the aliens show up. They probably show up through the government institutions. Maybe in a university there will be like sessions or lectures. Maybe in churches. They need some protection. They need some guardian. But maybe there will be like bodyguards for the aliens. And maybe we'll show up in our ceremonies among light workers. Hopefully they will not... Hopefully we will not be forgotten, but I will be like, I'm ready to experience that. They go work with the government, I'm left behind. That's fine. But hopefully they will remember about us as well and show up right here in the studio. It would be nice to have in this chair to have an alien.
You hear that, ETs? We're ready. Come here.
But that's the thing is like, right, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, like it is happening on a personal level. It's happening in these medicine centers. It just is. It just, whether, we always like to say, we don't know if it's real, we just know it's really happening. And it's really happening. It's really happening. It happens all the time. I mean, we have a lot of people on here that come on and talk about it. It's really happening. And if you want to say it's a Jungian manifestation of our future self or a repressed part of our psyche, sure, I'm down with that. Like maybe, I don't know, but it's really happening. You have people entering heightened states of consciousness where they're raising their frequency to have spiritual communication, and the ETs are coming through. And, it just is. And you have people that do Reiki and do personal spiritual development, and they also have interplay. I don't know. I'm not in religious communities enough to know if it's coming into play. But I think when it comes to, like, let's say the Christian Orthodoxy as an example, they actually do not have a worldview that fits them in, and everything's demons. Demons, everything's the devil. If it's not Jesus, it's the devil. So I don't know if they're able to make contact, but it seems the non-denominational spiritualists, the plant medicine ceremonial people in meditation, people that have an orthodoxy that allows their consciousness to stretch to make contact, a worldview that's malleable enough that it can allow it in. Those are the people that are going first, that outside of the institutions, the military institutions.
I lived through Russian opening up and transformation, and the ones who were in the Communist Party, they became on the top after transformation. It just flips and they gain on the top. So I wouldn't be surprised that the church reforms right away and aliens would be preaching churches. I wouldn't be surprised. And in corporations, I would just, they're secretly running big corporations. They're like in offices hidden, but they will just come up in the open.
Yeah. Didn't the Pope say recently, like, we need to open our arms to aliens, brothers and sisters?
They've been prepared. I think they have the plans. Many of them are aware. There is a religion and there is a special inner layer which has a different interpretation of the same secret books, of the same book. So there is a secret inner circle. And it's up to humanity to choose the path. Either we go the path of deception and cyborgs, or we go the path of natural evolution. Deception is much more attractive. It gives tangible income, goods, wealth. With AI, we will be more wealthy, more power, more better weapons and stuff like that. Lots of humans, like when the aliens created humans, they programmed in us good fighting abilities, the quality to treat aliens as gods. I think that's why everybody thinks the god has a humanized shape, because it is imprinted in our DNA. So,
can you speak to that? Because I remember reading, it was some scientific article. I don't know if there was a worship gene. Yes, I think it was a worship gene. And
God's gene?
Yeah, is that what it is? That they literally found?
My boss wrote it based on my work.
Oh, dude, what? Okay, can we?
Dean Hamer.
Well, okay, dude. Well, that's really you fucking wizard. All right, let's talk about this for a second. The implication of a god gene, of a worship gene, implies that it's put in there. And if you follow the Sumerian origin story, you go back and you talk about the human species being created. I mean, in this model, we're just theorizing here. We're just having fun. If the human species is created as a slave species or as a subordinate species by a higher dimensional consciousness or ETs or whatever, they would put in a worship gene that would get us to listen to whatever they want to say. I've heard theorized, if you look into like the Law of One. Have you read the Law of One?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, beautiful. They imply that essentially an initial race of aliens, they call the Orion group, is genetically modified us to worship them. It's really interesting because that book pretty much says that, like, so it's called the Law of One. Everything has to abide the Law of One. And one of the main tenets is free will. So what they say is that this first race of aliens that modified us, that they violated our free will. They were higher intelligence, but they gave us distortions to the Law of One. And one of them is a distortion of the law of free will. They said, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not this, and that you cannot tell another being thou shalt not.
Yeah, that violates free will. Yeah.
And what they say is that essentially the Old Testament God is this evil race of aliens in the Law of One. And it's that genetically modified us. That's their first thing. I have no idea. But
Gnosticism is very similar as well.
It's like
yes.
I'm not saying it's true. This is just what it is.
Yeah.
We're just having fun here. We're just fucking, talking about the creation of our species. The Law of One, which is so interesting, it then says the Galactic Federation of Love and Light caught wind of what was going down and intervened and put us in essentially quarantined us, and that there is some sort of intergalactic war between the Galactic Federation and this initial group that fucked with us. So
I agree with that. Yeah.
You think the worship gene and that was put in here by ancient aliens?
Of course.
I
would put it there.
Okay, to keep a slave to gods or whatever, to them. Worshipping them instead of looking within ourselves to make contact with source.
Well, it's also, if you look at humans, though, humans are so flawed and have so much anger and hate, and it's like this very sort of animalistic nature. And it is only when you start to pay attention to your consciousness and start to realize that you can not be on autopilot and make conscious decisions. So if there was something that was intervening that is like, hey, you guys are in this animal state, we're going to bring you up to this other state by creating worship in some way, which I know it sounds like breaking free will, but it would be a way of creating enlightenment within the human race.
Yeah.
Because they're looking to something that already has raised its consciousness above them.
Yeah, after Atlantis destroyed itself through excessive genetic engineering, they had to recreate human race here. So, they did their best. Some of them just were trapped here. They had to create, transform the human form to something they can incarnate in. So there is a lot of ancient races incarnating here. So studying collective DNA resonance is the key to understand why excessive hybridization and excessive manipulation of the genome will lead to collapse of the collective genomic field. Like there is a whole humanity genomic field, like the biosphere of humanity, and it's very healthy at the moment. That's why it's so attractive to the aliens. They want to hybridize with us, to incarnate in us, but if there is too much genetic manipulation, we already manipulate plants and animals, and now it becomes so cheap and possible. So humanity is going the path of modifying humans to merge with technology. So I think that's the alternative is more natural, and basically our choice is awaken and to choose a more natural path.
That's very fascinating. This is an age-old story. It's the Frankenstein story. We try to solve our problems or bypass our problems with science, and we end up creating a monster that is greater than the problem in the first place. And I think one of the shifts in consciousness is that our problems are for us, they're not happening to us. And within finding the solutions and facing those problems or those challenges or that conflict, the daily conflict you mentioned, that is the growth our soul needs, and that's why it's been put on our path. And it's all a gift. And if we face it and move through it, higher evolution's on the other side. We don't need to bypass it or sedate ourselves or, feed our hedonism with pleasure. We can move through this and move through it together with an open mind.
People in the rulers, there is lots of enlightened people among them. Maybe many of them are happy that telepathy is coming out, and we and aliens are so connected. Sometimes I wake up there as an alien.
Wow.
Yeah. So I suspect that many of us, or maybe every one of us, is an alien just sleeping and being here.
Probably.
Yeah. You didn't wake up? I wake up, I just open the eyes and I see stuff around, and then as soon as they see that I'm moving, they kind of inject something, I go back to
whoa. Damn, man.
So it's we are implants here. I think everybody is pretty much.
We've had experiences like that as well.
Yeah, I think so.
So we and aliens, I think we are the same soul. There is no separation. It's just a drama which is produced by splitting us into individual. So by reuniting with them, I think we can reform everything.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, we're waking up to the illusion of separation and coming home to ourselves. That's what it all is. And anytime we acquire some new knowledge, it's weird. There's always this feeling of remembering, like you knew that. We're just remembering whatever this is, wherever it goes, whatever you want to call it. It's a remembrance. Okay. Woo! You know how to throw down, brother. That was crazy. I'm like, I didn't know we were going to go there today. And we appreciate your bravery, your courage, and you bringing science along for the ride, because for a lot of us, it's going to take being able to prove things and being able to prove this phenomenon scientifically for a lot of us to open our arms and our minds to it. So thank you so much.
And Max,
thank you for having me.
Can you let our audience know again where they can find you, your work, and help support you?
xg1.org, and all contacts are there. I am accessible through all possible means. I love voicemail. Send me voice messages on WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, Facebook Messenger. Fill out a questionnaire. Basically, we need trios. Right now, we only take trios: adult father, adult mother, adult child over 18 or more, and at least one should have abduction experiences, ideally. Or just be crazy. Yeah, crazy is good enough. But ideally, you pay for your initial analysis, and then you give interviews, and then we start raising money to genotype and fully sequence your DNA. That would be super cool.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
All right.
And gang, we'd like to ask you all one itsy bitsy favor, especially to our core loyal audience. If you could all go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, it would really help us out. On YouTube, we've actually faced a ton of censorship, and our account was demonetized
in the beginning,
and we are still recovering from that, and we're trying to train the system and the algorithm to really know our audience. So if you're with us and you're our community, you're our core people, please
go subscribe to our YouTube.
Subscribe. It will really help us out and train the system, so more people who are like us, we can grow this community, we can push this movement forward, create awareness around all these interesting and fascinating aspects of our reality. And yeah, it helps us out a lot, and we appreciate it immensely.
All right. Until next time, thank you for being with us. Go check out Dr. Max Rempel, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
We love you all. Bye-bye
Bye.
now.
Bye.